What's going on, everybody? This is an episode from the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast. Do you like podcasts and you want to see the full podcast? Make sure you check out the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast on all your podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, among many others. But you're listening to the episode right here on YouTube, so make sure you hit that like button and below, and make sure you hit the subscribe button to NC Studios and NC Level Up for all your gaming needs. This is the Nerd Coalition. Enjoy the show. So, on Peacock, we talked about this guy a little bit earlier, but Peacock had a new documentary, working in with the WWE documentaries they've been doing on A&E and stuff like that. American Nightmare. And we all know who the American Nightmare is, right? So,
Goldust.
Tattoo on the neck.
Well, yeah, and it had the American Nightmare becoming Cody Rhodes. This is a whole Cody Rhodes documentary from his beginnings all the way to what's going on now. And I was like, okay, so this probably gonna be like a little hour documentary that it was just like, Cody, he's Dusty Rhodes' son. He hates Stardust. He hates Dashing. He's American Savior now. He tore his pec. He wants a championship. It was way deeper than that.
It was that with some other stuff.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh, I was there to watch a documentary. They did mention AEW.
Yeah, that was the part that I was waiting to see, because I was wondering if they was going to mention it like by name, or they was going to be like, he went off and was in other indie promotions, because they did throw that shit in there a little bit.
Oh, well, I mean, they talk about the secondary company. They already got the heat already about it. But me and Lane Sketch out there and checked it out, and I figured like, hey, we gonna give our review of the new documentary from Peacock. So first off, Prime, they set the ambiance up for this really well. Cody is in his whole Cody getup with his robe on, but the robe is like ripped apart.
Mm-hmm.
It got his arms showing. It's torn at the hinges at the bottom. He's just like really because he's walking through the desert.
It's been more than an hour since he's been going. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The desert thing be bothering me.
Exactly. Yeah. And he's walking through the desert, and throughout the whole point of the documentary, each of the milestones that happened in his life, he comes across them in the desert until he finally gets to that promised land. That's how the whole theme was set up for 2 hours.
Yep.
So they already acknowledged in the beginning, obviously, that he is a he has him and his sister is say what?
He only has a sister. He don't have a brother in this universe.
No. What I was about to say is, I was saying that they talked about, okay, of course, because Dusty Rhodes is his dad, but him and his sister, with his mother, obviously he's the half brother of Goldust.
Yes.
Of Dusty Rhodes, and they made sure about that, but they were trying to explain what his family unit was like, because at this time, Goldust was, doing his thing of being on the road and doing all other kind of stuff like that. So Cody was just there admiring his dad, because he said it kind of sucked for Dustin, because he got the father that was always on the road, that was never there, never met, missed all the games and all the birthdays and stuff like that. Whereas his version of his dad was home.
Yes, they made sure to mention that Cody and his sister, what's the sister name? Teal or something like that?
I believe so.
I think so. They made sure to mention that they were lucky enough to have the nuclear family unit. That Dustin, I don't know what to call him. I be wanting to call him Goldust, but he's not Goldust no more.
Yeah.
That Dustin didn't get. And of course he couldn't be in the documentary because he's currently signed with AEW.
Exactly.
But they did mention him.
Yeah, and he was Goldust, because some people may not know that. So as he's walking, he starts in. We see different artifacts. He pulls up what was the original WWF Championship. The only.
Did he cry?
Oh, Cody crossed the line exactly.
I'm talking about when he seen it.
No, because you gotta keep the acting face on. This is when he walking through the desert like Jodeci. It's when he's doing that. But he talks about him being in high school and him being the high school prodigy. And at first, it really was a thing that he was.
Was Xavier Woods in it?
Huh?
Was it Xavier Woods in it?
Xavier Woods was in it, but I was a little upset he did not tell his story.
Yeah, no, he just said that they went to rival high schools.
Yes,
that was it.
But there's a funny story with that. That's why, because I don't know if you ever heard Xavier Woods tell the story.
Maybe like in passing, because I feel like I've heard about a story.
Oh, Xavier Woods tell the story as much as Stone Cold tells the SummerSlam story with The Undertaker.
Oh yeah. So and feel free to jump in, Prime, if I get the details wrong. So they went to the rival schools, and Xavier was really like this girl, and they all went out bowling this one night. And then he was sitting there, he was trying to, get his best throw out and everything. He's trying to impress this girl. So then jock ass Cody Rhodes comes in, with all his friends and everything. And then he doesn't he ask Xavier, do you wrestle? Like,
something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Picks up a bowling ball, just rolls it down, stares at Xavier, hits a strike. Shit you see at movies.
I have definitely heard at least part of this story.
Had the girl that Xavier go flaunt all over Cody, takes it back and start hanging out with Cody that night. Xavier's pissed.
As he should be. Cause sir, what?
What you about to say, Prime?
I said blew out.
Yeah. And I was just like, I was like, I know that's not, it was, it's a little entertaining story for us, but I was like, oh man, could you tell that story, Xavier, while we're in this documentary? Because I was like, it'd be funny. And the thing is, when you hear Cody was talking about it, he's like, I don't understand what Xavier was had a problem with me about. And then he said, oh, you do.
I'm sure he replays that moment often and just be playing dumb. Like, I don't even remember that, sir.
Yeah. He goes and I said at first he doesn't really like the wrestling. Even the coach said he only had this little 2-leg takedown move where he was trying to force you out the circle. Then he started getting real athletic in it, real good into it, and he started having his dad come to shows. But then the audience would realize oh, that's Dusty Rhodes' son. So he was no longer Cody. He was Dusty Rhodes' kid. And to the point where he would wrestle a match and one of the parents would be like, you gotta beat Dusty. You gotta beat Dusty. And he like, oh, bro, I'm Cody.
Also, I'm a child.
Yes.
That part was funny. I was like, yes, he's a child. You guys are weird.
Yeah.
Real quick. Since we talk about Cody, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but have you seen the story that Cody told about Randy Orton recently?
No, I didn't.
About who?
He said Randy
Orton.
Okay, no.
Randy is such a... Look, he said one of his first interactions he had with Randy Orton is they both in the little locker room, and Randy goes and pulls the whole urinal off the wall. And he says, hey, Cody. He says, hey, Cody, look, he pulls the urinal off the wall, right? So the next day in the production meeting, they all I want to know who did it. He says, Randy Orton gets up and says, yeah, whoever did it is getting caught. I want to know who did it right now. And it's just bro, you the one that did it, and you gonna act like you don't even know what's going on? He said from then on, he knew Randy was a different animal. Never mess with Randy.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess with him neither. I don't think it would take the yard.
But this wasn't legend. This was 06, maybe 05, Randy?
People have been telling stories about Randy Orton terrorizing folks for a long time.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
But that story is funny because it's just bruh, how you gonna be in the locker room? How you gonna rip it off the wall and then I'm pretty sure somebody got fired for that, and really just ain't care.
Hey, look, Early Randy Orton was a piece of shit. So I would say
a wild boy.
And then he met the Migos.
Shut up.
I'll play it. No, that's not how it happened. But you understand. When we get into the business, he does a couple dark matches, and then Vince is kind of like impressed with his athleticism. He was just like, "Oh God, I know this means they're gonna try to hurt me, kind of like force me up there," because he really enjoyed OVW. He said it felt like college, like wrestling college to him down there, and he really enjoyed that. He felt as though he needed to stay down there, but they talk about when
it wasn't just the athleticism. It was when he helped induct Dusty into the Hall of Fame.
In the Hall of Fame in 2007.
Yes,
that's right. His speaking, it was like, oh, Vince was looking into that. So he has his first televised match. He comes out with Dusty, and he goes against Randy Orton. Obviously, Randy Orton wins. But then they go right into Legacy. I was hoping that it was like they would talk a little bit about when he teamed with Hardcore Holly at first, and they were a tag team, and then there was note that this new guy was coming in, Ted DiBiase Jr., and it was like, okay, it was going to be Cody and Hardcore Holly going up against Ted DiBiase and a mystery partner, and then Cody turns on Hardcore and joins Ted DiBiase, and then
he was tag teaming with PPP loans.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. That's not what he going to jail for, is it? And it wasn't the welfare fraud or something like that?
Yeah, okay. I mean, he could go. He has faced jail for like a long time.
A long ass time.
Like, they ain't no $1 million money get out of this one. So it's crazy. Then they talk about forming Legacy. Mm-hmm. I actually really enjoy that's when Cody was starting to really come into his own after he left Hardcore Holly. I was surprised they didn't even mention the whole Hardcore Holly little set that they had when he was a tag team. Mm-hmm. But they really started coming to stuff, and then Legacy was being pushed because they even had a Hell in a Cell match with DX. Yeah, so you got to be in some high regard, and I thought that was a pretty good. You remember the Hell in a Cell match prior? They had
Is that the one where they put Cody in the chair with the I think the sharpshooter and like the
no, I think that's when they put Cody here in the chair. They hit him with a sledgehammer.
I'm sorry. What?
Okay.
Oh yeah, they beat the shit out of Legacy.
I hear.
So after Legacy,
they beat up Shane, Vince, and Big Show to win stuff.
Yeah, they did beat them pretty bad.
That Hell in a Cell match is just hilarious.
Yeah, it's to watch for comedic purposes only. Now we're shifting over to him going into like a solo role. The whole Legacy thing is done, and he starts he goes into the character of Dashing Cody Rhodes, the whole metrosexual pretty boy.
Yes,
that was like, hey, clip your nails down, but not too close out because you don't want your nails to cuticle or whatever. I don't know. I don't know shit about nails.
Yeah.
But I was just like, who? Dashing this pretty motherfucker? Well,
just say, I don't think Cody Rhodes is a bad looking guy. But I always was confused by the Dashing Cody Rhodes thing. I was like, you don't give me pretty boy energy.
No, he don't get energy, but that's what Cody's one of the guys that when he has a gimmick,
he gonna go with it.
He gonna go all in on it and try to make the things work. Because even when he had the whole angle when he got hit in the face,
yes,
and he started putting the mask on.
The fact that he really called up the doctor and was like, "Make me one of those." Yes. For my gimmick. What?
Oh yeah, so
authentic.
So peep this part. I know you know Rip Hamilton. If you don't, we can call Q. Us.
Strikes you out. Damn. He finna join the end of this podcast. Not even know the shots that have been fired.
Just in case you didn't know, probably we can always call Q up, but he Rip Hamilton used to wear that mask. and he broke his nose, and then all of a sudden this became a trademark. He called the same exact doctor that Rip Hamilton had to be able so he could craft the make-up match just like that to go along with the dashing gimmick. Yeah, I thought that was pretty dope.
That's dedication.
It is. And like, hey yo, Rip, can I borrow this real quick? You know, so I was like, okay, and then the dash stuff started really getting over. He started doing the paper bags and giving it to the other people in the audience, and then you start seeing more people start coming with bags on top of their heads.
The wild part is I was like, why are y'all complicit in being called ugly? Whose idea was that?
Look, they roughly call people ugly in Temptation, but they singing "Beauty's Always Skin Deep,"
very true.
And they be always like this. Sing to me like you really don't want me to sing to you.
Sis was hype at the Copa, okay?
Exactly. But I was like, but he really singing like, yo, you ugly though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's always Skin Deep though. So
I
was just like,
you just got David Ruff and Eddie Kendrick singing in your face. You don't care what they sing. They can be singing your breath stink. You know, okay.
Exactly. I know that was some strong breath, but anyway, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So he had his match with Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania 27, which is, I think is one of the worst not the worst, but it's in a bad category because they have the worst WrestleMania main event. But he had the match with Rey Mysterio and won that. We talked about how it felt to be at WrestleMania, his first like singles match, like really being out there on their own. Mm-hmm. Then as we start getting introduced to who Brandy is.
Yes. Okay. So in the timeline of this documentary, did we talk about how Dusty kind of brought the two of them together first, or how he was feeling a way about the NXT kids thing? Which came first? I can't remember.
Dusty bring him closer to Brandy.
Okay.
Yes, because now by the way, because I didn't mention this, as we're telling this story prior, he's walking through the desert. So when we get to the dashing Cody Rhodes, and then we get to like, and then and all that stuff, we pick up the mask, and when he talks about his father never winning the championship and how he won the match against Hogan on a disqualification. Was it Hogan? I can't remember. And he was telling him.
Sure, it was Hogan.
And he was telling him, "You don't win the belt that way." And he made it his mission that he was going to wrestle and win that championship belt and put it in his hands. That was the thing. And then, we got a little Cody crying because it's emotional. Hey, it's about just ringing up the dad. I have no problems with that. But in NXT, that's where Brandy Rose was at doing commentary, doing ring announcing, things like that. And
who told this dizzy bitch it was open?
Night. I miss that Brandy a little bit.
You know.
I miss that Brandy. Who told this dizzy bitch it was open mic night?
That shit was funny. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, Cody, obviously, he looking at his sister. He feeling her a little bit, and he said she had like one of these white Southern doo-wop.
It was like the Texas. What do you call it? The Texas housewife.
Yeah.
With lifted hair.
The white Texas housewife.
It looked like cheerleader, Texas cheerleader hair.
Yeah. And then the way he says, "Oh wait, there's something wrong with your hair." And she's like, "Well," he said, "You might want to fix it before you go out there." So Brandy goes back, and Beth Phoenix is coming up, and she's like,
"Was it Beth Phoenix or Natty?"
It was Beth Phoenix.
Okay.
And because you would have said a lot of things if it was Natty.
I would have.
It was Beth Phoenix. She was like, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm trying to fix your hair." Cody said something wrong with my hair. She said, "Sis, ain't nothing wrong with your hair. He's flirting with you." That's how Cody
also, that probably wouldn't be the person for you to ask if something was wrong with your hair. If he told you look like a Texas housewife or a cheerleader or whatever he said.
Fair enough. But the funny thing is, when they go back to Cody's like, "Yo, I was really dead serious."
He was like, "No, I was dead ass serious. That hair looked horrendous." And they showed a picture of it, and he was not wrong. That hair looked a mess, especially on her.
See, Cody had it all figured out before it was all figured out. You know what I'm saying?
He knew what he was talking
about. Oh, you need to get back there and let your hair looking like that.
You know what? I give him credit for that because they did have that child looking a mess.
He said, hold on, my sister. Hold on, beloved. That ain't the way your hair is supposed to be looking.
Hold
Do you think Cody?
I'm just listening.
You don't think Cody would call beloved?
He better not.
Nah.
So
I don't even want to. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't want to know. I don't want to remember.
So, and they talked about how they dated for 2 years and then they end up getting married. And of course, you know how he has his daughter Liberty.
And justice for all.
Because you know, probably back in 1961.
You know what?
Okay, I won't get into it. Then they talk about him being on his own and
Did Cody mention when he saw the first black baseball player, Jackie Robinson, play?
I'm sorry, did he what?
Did he recall the time where he saw the first black baseball player, Jackie Robinson, to play in the major leagues?
No, please, because you know, even his dad wasn't, was small at that time. Now, if he said something about Hank Aaron, maybe I'm saying, but no, he.
So he didn't say he was at the I Have a Dream speech in Washington.
No,
he was right below the balcony.
Right below the balcony. Marley put this up for you.
They let him in the Cadillac in the I can't think of the building right now. Lucky, can't think of the building.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm gonna leave it alone.
What building am I talking about?
I don't know what building you were referring to.
Okay. I'ma just.
Who are you talking about now? Which historical figure are we referring to at this point?
I was saying they let him in the Cadillac to go upstairs, but I forgot the hotel's name, so I'm just gonna forget the joke.
Oh. We talk about how Cody he does the white strap Intercontinental Championship, and he has that little singles run, and then but they kind of gloss over. They talk about Damian Sandow, the tag team he had with Damian Sandow, but then
oh my god, I forgot about him.
Yeah, back when Cody had that terrible ass mustache.
Ooh,
the Rhodes Scholars.
Yeah, the Rhodes Scholars.
That one was unfortunate.
I was like, Cody, what is you doing? And they said the same thing, and then all of a sudden, 2015 hits, and they're like, you know what we're gonna do? They started coming up with different concepts of the Stardust, which is basically mini Goldust.
Yep.
And remember, and then when he debuted, next thing you know, he was doing a tag team thing with Goldust. Now he was just like, what the fuck is this? But he was going to try to make it work the best he could, and dive all into it. And that they was even teasing. Remember, at that one point, probably it was supposed to be like a Stardust versus Goldust match at Mania.
Yeah, that's literally why one of the reasons AEW was built, because all they wanted was a one-on-one match at Mania, and then they gave it to him at Fastlane. And see here.
Yeah, that was stupid. And first of all, so was the whole Stardust thing in the first place. And you talk about how frustrated he was with it. But Brandon's talking about, like, how he was keeping, up the best he could with the character. And then, like they were saying, he's like, hey, Cody's gonna give it all, but Stardust is not the character that's gonna be going for the WWE Championship.
Hell no, because nobody is taking Stardust seriously.
Not at all.
Not a soul.
And it was getting real bad. I thought they was gonna probably mention the time where he was giving ideas for Stardust, and then he was trying to do a Harley Quinn Joker style storyline with him and Brandy with Stardust.
I guess. Okay.
But I was just like, they nixed that. So then all of a sudden he just went down with it such that he just started really not enjoy coming to work.
He was like, I was back there. I would do my match and sit back there and knock one back and watch the monitor.
He said
like,
he would take out half a Gatorade bottle and fill it with like bourbon or any kind of liquor. And with the Gatorade, people just think he's drinking Gatorade, but he back there just drinking. He's like, I was pretty much trying to get myself fired. So then, unfortunately, he said they get the bad news on June 10th, 2015. That's the day before my birthday, because that's the rules that she died on my birthday.
Yes, I remember that. That was quite sad.
Yeah.
But also, I didn't know it escalated so quickly.
Neither did I.
Like, I thought that he had been sick and was just in the hospital or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was like I'm not feeling good, let's go to the ER, and then like 12 hours later, he's in the ICU. We just waiting for his organs to shut down. Like, I was like, damn, what happened?
Yeah. And he was talking about how painful that was, and he was like, all my life I just wanted him to live, but right now he was just like, I was just waiting for him to go because he'd been in there suffering. And it was their waiting game. Ain't nothing worse than playing that waiting game.
Listen, that waiting game is torturous.
Yeah, just waiting for somebody to die. That's a hard pill to swallow. Then they talked about when he passed on June 11th, 2015, and you just see the hurt Cody and the crying, and he goes back and he tells Vince like, hey, I want to go back to being like a Rose instead of Stardust stuff, and Vince like, no, we're not doing that. He was like, and that was it.
So he was like, I'm trying to be out.
Yeah.
Grant your boy the release.
And then he's out. But then that's when we start doing the whole thing with Cody and Evolve, and Cody doing New Japan, and Cody in Ring of Honor, and like literally Cody was in every
He was all
promotion.
over the place. He even popped up at House of Hardcore.
Yeah. I was thinking like the only thing that he didn't do was because he was at Slammiversary, I believe. He was at Final I forgot what Ring of Honor's biggest show is. He was at New Japan. Now, the only thing he didn't do at that time was Ultima Lucha when Lucha Underground was there. He did not show up at Lucha Underground. But then he really started, because when I watched him on the Indies, he really started coming, like when he was in Ring of Honor, started doing the Ring of Honor. Like he actually had like the Tom Brady ring made and stuff like that.
Oh, God.
It was doing that, and he actually, that's when the bleach hair came in, the suits came in. And then they talked about him getting with the Young Bucks.
Tattoo. Oh.
Boy, that tattoo ain't come yet. That ain't come.
They never addressed that ugly ass tattoo.
No, the dream tattoo.
Oh.
Oh yeah, they had the dream tattoo. But then they talked about the birthdays. Like we know what the dream is, but what about the nightmare? Then we got the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Now he got the bleach hair. Now he has the look. Him and the Young Bucks team up, and they talk about when they start putting together All In with about 10,000 seats, and they end up being successful about that, and they mention that, which caused the start of AEW. I was actually shocked that they was talking about that.
I was too, like that they went in depth with it. I thought they might gloss over it, but they went in depth with him with the first first event with them doing All In, and then that leading into them starting the company and him being an executive in the company and all of that jazz. I said, oh.
I'm not surprised by that.
Well, they do that, but then 3 years into it, Cody decided his contract runs out at AEW. Now this is what Cody said. Cody said that he left for personal issues.
For a personal issue. He said it was not a talent.
It wasn't about the money.
It wasn't the money. He left for a personal issue, which I feel like if it's a personal issue like that, because he did make sure, it feels like to specify that he had a personal issue with the company, I guess you would say. I'm
going with Tony Khan.
And that's why I'm like, because he did make sure to say it wasn't another talent.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't think it was the EVPs?
No, I mean, look, they got their own things about it, but I do believe that there was probably some personal issue with Tony Khan that I felt as though it was like, I
think it's the EVPs.
I don't know if it's the EVPs, because he really, I'm not gonna say really did, like he wasn't emphatic about it, but he made sure to say that it was not another talent.
Yeah, you can count the EVPs are a talent, but they're not talent at the same time. So you can still be petty and say, "Oh, I'm not talking about a talent. I'm talking about,
And my thing is, we'll never know, and it's not our business for real.
Yeah.
But what was the personal issue?
I would like to know.
Well, I think because like the last like year and a half or 2 years, like they didn't talk.
Who's they?
Cody and the Bucks and Hangman and Omega.
Oh, okay.
So it's like Omega, Hangman, and the Bucks, and then Cody. Because like okay, remember the first Blood and Guts? It was supposed to be Omega, Hangman, Cody, and the Bucks in it, and then that got canceled. So then Cody did something else tonight. Somewhere in between there, Cody and the Bucks, like their relationship diminished, and they by the time he was out the company, they didn't even talk no more.
Okay, it could be. I'm not necessarily sure what's going on with that, but
was he still around when they started taking titles? Like they was title only basically. AEW.
I think he was still around.
I can't remember the timeline of that, because you know what I'm talking about, right? When they was just like, they basically took all the power from them and they were like EVPs in name only kind of thing.
Oh no, that was CM Punk era.
Okay.
After
no, that was simple. This is the time like where they were still kind of doing a lot, because even when Brody Lee passed away, they weren't talking, but they all came together to take a picture with Brody with -1.
Okay.
And I was actually shocked to see them together because I knew they weren't talking.
Okay, so it could, all this could stem into that.
You know what? And that does, I guess that does make sense, because when the whole thing happened, when Brody passed away, his wife was really vocal about the people who were like helpful to her or supportive of her, and she always say Cody
and Big E.
Cody and Big E.
Yeah.
I meant first from the AEW side. She would say Cody. She didn't say AEW.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't say the Young Bucks and Hangman and Omega and Tony Khan. She said Cody.
Yeah. So they could be telling. So Vince is just like, okay, I want him back. And Vince goes and flies over
to his house.
Went to Atlanta. Vince McMahon.
First of all, Cody does not live in Atlanta. He lives in Marietta.
Exactly. Marietta is not Atlanta.
You think Vince going to Atlanta? It's like Gerald Busby, and when he went to Bobby Brown house, he's like, nah, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, I ain't going to that one. He was worried about, well, I'm not going back to do the Stardust stuff. I'm not doing it. He said, look.
Sketchy mustache Vince McMahon boarded a plane and went down to Georgia for you, bro. That's crazy.
He said, look, it ain't broke. So you come in with the whole shebang. Everything that was happening, then we go to WrestleMania 38 where he returns to take on Seth Rollins. And how that feeling was, which, like I said, was still a good match. Talking about his run, and then as he's walking through the desert, past the Stardust shoes and the mask and the titles and all that stuff, he sees his big red cell. When we talk about the Hell in a Cell.
Is it real or is it animated?
I feel like it's like a
like
CGI.
did they really pull up to the desert with the cell and then just took it out just to build it?
No, this is CGI.
They on the soundstage, but they show them afterwards, like shooting the cut scenes.
Yeah.
Cody want to be a WWE 2K wrestler so bad.
Well, I mean,
Jacob Cass.
He's already. By the way, I did not mention this earlier, which I should have. This is narrated by Stephen Amell.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mr. Stars himself. Or Heels. And how he had a little. Cody had this thing on Arrow when he was on
Mr.
that, so.
I'm just trying to get back to work.
Yeah, seriously.
Why y'all playing?
So he talks about the Hell in a Cell match. Talks about how he just lifted weights and he pulled that pig right off the bone.
I could see very well why he was embarrassed. Because can you imagine? It's one thing to get injured while you wrestling, like you in the ring.
Yeah.
It's another thing to be just on the bench and your pec just slide off the bone like some tender chicken. Like,
Did he tell the story about how that happened?
Say what?
Did he tell the actual story, or did they just talk about it?
Well, the story that he gave was that he was working out, and then he put the weight back the wrong way, and it caused the tear.
Oh, that is not the story he told. Okay.
So what story did he tell?
I heard him tell another story of he was in the gym and he was like kind of overhyped with protein, and there was a guy almost like challenging him.
Challenge.
And he was like, all right, good, I'm gonna get it up. And then as soon as he lifted up the first time, I felt it rip or whatever. And that's the story I heard him tell.
Now he was overhyped on protein. That's the part that's like, what?
Well, he said we ain't gonna put that in the documentary.
Yeah, I don't think we would have put that in the documentary.
He told it on Rich Eisen, I believe.
I mean, but in your documentary, I don't think you want to be like, I was in a pissing contest and I injured myself. Can you imagine?
I mean, I haven't seen the documentary, but he was still shooting the documentary on the Rich Eisen show.
Yeah,
so
it was a part of it because they talked about that, or not. They mentioned that at the end when he like getting up from taping the Rich Eisen show. Like, when is this gonna be over? Why are we still taping this, basically?
No, seriously, that's what they were saying the whole interview. They was like, so when is this? He was like, oh, they're just following me around. And they was like, how long have they been doing that? He was like, oh, about a year. This is at WrestleMania too, so he was like, oh, about a year. Like, okay.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. That's like getting fired on your day off. I wouldn't have told nobody that shit.
Exactly. They have the big jacket reveal where he pulls it off, and everybody sees the bruise, and then he goes on with the match. And then Seth Rollins was like, he's lying about how.
I was about to say that Seth Rollins was like, this man is lying about how bad this hurt.
Yeah. And he was saying that the time he wanted to stop the match was when he did the springboard Cody cutter, and he came down on. He said, "I just wanted to vomit," and he's like, he wanted to end the match there, but he ended up finishing the match, wins the match, but he has to go and do obviously the surgery, which puts him out for goes to 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we do get the story about him returning at the Royal Rumble, going on to face Roman at WrestleMania, and that's when he has about to walk through this big majestic door, and then he goes in, but he comes up short and win the title, and it talks about how his story is still unfinished, and that is basically the whole documentary. It's 2 hours. And we got some insight for things you may know, things you may not know. I think on certain things they could have dove in a little bit more, or the hardcore high thing I was talking about, or like how him and Brady just was getting along, other than just the hair thing. But I like seeing the explanation, know about that, being newsy and want to know more about AEW, all that kind of stuff. But I think overall, I think it was a pretty decent documentary. It was solid.
It was alright.
I do recommend you probably go check it out.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was Cody, being Cody with all the theatrics, and I'm pretty sure when he win the title next year, he's gonna make a part 2.
No, I think they done.
Yeah, no, I know they done. But I think it was still going.
Like, we not by the way, so this money is following you around no more.
So yeah, but yeah, I give it like a B. I think it was really good. A thumbs up show.